let's switch gears here and talk about the work that we did together. Okay. And so
Yeah.
everybody, just so everyone knows, Matt and I completed an engagement to develop a strategic business plan for Receptor's future growth. So we knew that you needed a strategic business plan. And a lot of people have had experience doing that. And most people think of creating a business plan as something that's very daunting, time consuming, not a very fun process. And then you end up with a 25, 50-page document that you throw on the desk or put up on the shelf and you never look at it again.
Mhm.
We utilized Vern Harnish's Scaling Up One-Page Strategic Plan, otherwise known as an OPSP. So on that journey to develop your plan, we did that over the course of about 6 weeks, and we met weekly and bi-weekly. Tell us what that experience was like.
Yeah, so it was a really positive one for me where I was at a moment in my time here where I was being very reflective and thinking about my own leadership style, what was important to me, what was important for the company, what was going to be important to the team, process wise, workflow wise, how we could be serving our clients. So it was a very important thing for me to be able to feel like I was tapped into what was going to be important, and having a clear path to being able to do that. So those weekly meetings and just kind of getting up to speed, developing kind of a sense of like a better understanding of like my own style, from the perspective of somebody else, uh, was a really good entry point to be able to really decide, what aspects of like the next iteration of the business were going to be worth pursuing, and what's the pathway to do that. So it was a very beneficial thing for me.
And how is that different than anything you'd done before?
I'd never done anything like that before, so it was extremely different. And I think for me, especially just with a very high output creative agency that has a very, small team in the grand scheme of how big agencies could be, it's like you're operating with blinders on every single day sometimes. You're just trying to keep your head above water, get everything done, make sure you're doing your best for every single person on the team, your clients, etc. Um, I needed that perspective. I had to take a step back and just make sure that I was accounting for and focusing on what was truly important to run the business, because I'm at a phase now here where I'm not just, clocking in and just doing the creative and then clocking out. I've got much bigger picture things to make sure that I'm accounting for, because the success of the business and just how that affects the team and our clients, it really boils down to, having a good plan together. So that was an extremely important thing for me to be able to make sure that I was being accounting for.
That's great. And how has that experience informed your thinking differently now going forward?
It's stressing the importance of getting out of your own head sometimes and just trying to make sure that you're focused on a bigger picture than the specifics of what's in front of you at any given time.
Mhm.
Um, I have the luxury of having a really fantastic team here that is more than willing to pick up the slack and do what's needed every single day, and make sure that I can continue to just progress in my new role here, which still feels very new, even though it's hard to believe I'm looking back at the calendar and realizing how long now I've kind of been in this position. But just continuing to just be able to make sure that I'm doing what I have to do as the owner of the business and kind of the figurehead here, to make sure that all that day-to-day stuff is, while it's important, it's not overshadowing the bigger picture that's looming, in terms of how we need to be approaching our business.